Hey there, Tracy here, part of the amazing creative team for Trinity Stamps. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make this little panda to-go cup. So let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, so first of all, I'm going to show you what supplies I'm using today. So I'm using our parts of our takeout coffee cup, little parts of every set that I'm pulling here. I'm using parts of our coffee on the go die set. And we'll be making an A2 card. I'm going to be using our Polar Pals Cup Characters Add-on Die Set. I'm going to be using just the little arms from the Gingerbread Cup character. And I'm going to be using some decorations from our holiday wreath. So I'm going to be using the holly and the bow. So let's go ahead and start putting this guy together. Yep, we're going to use this gingerbread guy's arms, and you can skip that step entirely. And I'm going to be using the bear parts and the little eyes from the snowman. And from the Coffee on the Go set, I'm going to be using the lid, the bottom, and the kind of accent piece. And then from the takeout coffee cup, I'm going to be using couple of pieces. I'm going to be using the liner there. I'm going to use the heart, and I'm going to use that little circly piece there, and I'm going to use the sleeve from that one to get our panda body. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut everything off camera because there's a lot to cut, but it's so worth it. So I've cut the body in black, and I've cut 2 sets of these little half moon things that are part of the ears. I've cut snowman eyes. I've cut the little arms. There's the little muzzle piece and the sleeve, and we've got the decorations, and then I've got the facial parts that I've done in black, and then all the rest of the parts here that you can see. And so I'll move all my stuff and we'll put this guy together. All right, we're going to start with the body, and I'm going to glue the white sleeve onto the black cup. So take a look at these dies if you bought them or if you're going to buy them, and try and imagine other little critters you can create. I've just about got a fox worked out. Stay tuned, friends. So scoot that on there so it fits nicely, and you can see I made a mess with the glue because that's just me, and this black paper shows all the glue. So I'm drying it up as best I can, and then I'll use my little glue eraser to try and get the rest of that glue off, because it's going to look just like that if I don't. And the eraser works out pretty well. Of course, it shakes the whole table, and sorry about that, but it is what it is. Can't be perfect. All right, so next, I'm going to put the little ears on. So I'm going to start with the little black piece, and that's the larger portion of the bear ears. I'm going to lay the ears right here so that it touches the top and side, and just sort of sideways-ish. This couldn't be easier. These little characters are just super easy to put together. So next I'm going to work on the muzzle. I'm going to put the little pink pieces. So I've cut these in pink, and it's hard to see that it's pink. For some reason, my camera wants to pull it as white. I'm not sure what's going on there, but you can see that the camera kind of changes back and forth, whether it's going to be pink or white. But there's 2 white pieces and there's 2 pink pieces. You just have to trust me on that. Okay, we've got the little ears on. Let me zoom out, see if that helps any. Let me pull it up. Nope, that doesn't help any either, because that heart is pink too, but it's really, really hard to tell. Maybe if I switch off a light, helps a little bit. All right, let's move right along. You'll have to see in the end pictures, and as I put this together, for some reason it goes more pink. So I'm going to grab the little muzzle piece and the little nose and mouth and glue those 2 together. I'm going to need to place that before I try and place my eyes. So I'll just glue that little piece down to the muzzle, and then I'm going to pop that up, and I'm just going to use one of these 3M foam squares right smack in the middle, because I need to be able to tuck kind of partially underneath that for the eyes. And then I'm going to place the nose, the mouth and muzzle right here about in the middle. And then I can start to build my eyes. So my eyes are consisting of the 2 round pieces, the 2 half moon, and the 2 ovals. And I'm going to start by doing my eye placement. So I've grabbed this oval, and you want to put the eyes so that they're tilted inward like you see. So that's going to be how you put eyes on a character makes all the difference on how that character finally looks. And I'm just going to move them so they're fairly even with each other. They don't have to be perfect, friends. So next, I'm going to take the half moon pieces here, these half round pieces, which are the insides of the bear's ears, and I'm going to glue the circles that are the snowman eyes onto them, leaving just a little ellipse, a little like crescent moon shape at the bottom. And the eyes I cut out of a shinier black material, so it's kind of almost a mirror cardstock, not quite, but it's shiny cardstock, just so that they would, I don't know, be a little shinier. I'm just going to glue those two together, and again, those don't have to be perfect either. I just want a little piece sticking out, and you could do two of the snowman eyes and just, you know, offset them. And then I'm going to glue those right into those little ovals so that they touch sides and fit. And that's going to create our panda eyes. Heck, you could throw Googly's eyes on there if you wanted to. But as I was looking at pictures of pandas, I noticed that there's just a teeny bit of white that shows in their eyes oftentimes. So that's how I put it together. Now I'm going to put together the lid, which is going to serve as a funny hat. So I'm going to put these 2 pieces from the Coffee on the Go, from the Coffee on the Go set. And then this piece is from the Takeout set. And I'm going to place that along the bottom rim. And since I'm not gluing this to the actual coffee cup card base, I can glue that down wherever I want. So you can put it offset if you want it, or whatever you want. But I'm going to put it so there's just a little tiny bit of black showing here at the top, maybe 1/4 of an inch or so. Just get it kind of even on there, and that's going to go on a blue card base, by the way. Now, these are the gingerbread arms, and so if you have that set as well, you can add arms to this little guy, and I think it really makes it pop. You know, it really kind of brings in that panda idea. So I'm just gluing them on as if it's holding onto something in the middle, and that's exactly what it's going to be doing. And you can do that with the gingerbread character too. You can put the arms to the inside or to the outside. It's completely up to you. I want mine inside because I want them holding that little pink heart. And just erase any glue mess that I made. And I used a super black paper, so that kind of helps too. Now we'll grab the little heart, and I'm going to pop the little heart up. See, now you can see that it's pink. I don't know what the heck my camera thought it was doing at that time. Now we're holding the little heart, and the last thing we need to do, as far as putting the panda together, is just to put together the little decorations for the hat. And I'm going to grab my little sidekick to the blending buddy and some Game Over Simon Hurley ink, and I'm going to just deepen the back part of the bow. So there's not a lot of ink work in this unless you want there to be. You know, if you don't want to use colored papers, you could always just color your own papers. Then I'm going to just deepen up the top parts of that bow and the middle part of the top bow. And that's all I'm going to ink on this whole thing. Except for, of course, when I get to the actual card front, I don't know, not the card base, but, you know, the next layer. The background layer, there we go. I'm going to put the bow together first. And I like to just lay the bow ends down and then lay my bow on top of them. And then just give it a press. Kind of clean up my glue there, get the other piece down. You could decorate this however you wanted. I wanted mine to be Christmas, but you could completely skip the whole Christmas thing and put whatever you want on there. So I have to decide where I want this bow, and that was the hardest part of this. Do I want it here? Do I want it there? No, no, no. Yeah, I'm going to go right about there, I think. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue and just pop that bow down, adjust it the way I want it. And I use some shiny cardstock for that hat part too. So now I'm going to put together a little piece of holly, and it's super easy. Just the pieces are tiny. And I'll just grab my pickup tool here and pick up these little pieces and just pop them down on the glue. And then I'll pick it up with my tweezers, manipulate it the way I want it, and I'm going to glue it down to the bow. Notice I haven't put the top part of the bow piece on yet. Now I'll put that over top of that. So like the little sprig of holly is poking right out of the bow, just part of the decoration. Okay, he's ready to go. Now all we have left to do is do the background and put this card together. And I'm doing the background very, very simply. I'm going to take a little bit of Simon Hurley's Clear Skies with my blending buddy, and I'm going to just make a blue ombre here. Let's just grab a little piece of paper here because I want to tap off. This is very wet ink, and I don't want it dark. I just want just a slight variation in my blues here. And the Clear Skies match best with this piece of paper. So that's all I needed for that, just a little bit of change, just a little bit. And then I'm going to do some splattering, and I want to show you a splattering trick just in case you have a Posca pen. But let's trim this down first. I'm going to trim it to 4 by 5 1/4. Just get those pieces out of the way. And I'm going to grab this, and I'm using a top folding white card base, A2 card base. Got my Posca pen. I'm shaking it up really well. You want to make sure you hear that little ball rolling. And then I grab a piece of scrap paper and get the pen going, get it primed. And then I just take my little bone folder here and I tap on the pen, and it'll sprinkle little white snowflakes on here, so to speak. And I just go all around it until I have as much snow as I want. And I don't want too much. I want to keep that subtle because our star of the show is the panda, of course. And I want to let that dry because it is paint. It takes a couple of minutes to dry. And then off camera, I've cut out this Merry Christmas, stamped it in green and red, and then I just hand cut the little tag. So the Merry Christmas is from our Simply Sentimental-Christmas. And I'm going to take a little piece of black and white twine to add that on. But first I'm going to put the card together. So I'm doing the lightest part of the blue at the top and the darker part at the bottom. I'll just use some liquid glue to lay this down onto the card base. Get it nice and even. And I'm just patting it down. I don't want any glue to squish out. Hopefully it won't squish out. And I'm going to add some foam tape to the back of my cup. So again, using this 3M Crafty Foam. It's kind of fun. They sent us a bunch of different ones, and so we're trying them all out, and I believe most of the team is really enjoying this foam tape. It's from Scrapbook Adhesives, by the way. And I believe that our store, Trinity Store, carries it. We'll go ahead and get this clipped off. And as of the date that this goes live, I believe Trinity is still having a sale. I will list the code down in the description box below so that if you want to shop. Now, I know that it excludes new release, but I believe the sale goes till the 10th. Last I saw, that was the truth. And this is being aired on the 9th. Can't believe it's coming up on Christmas already. But, you know, luckily I'm a design team member, so I'll have all my Christmas cards done. And maybe I'll actually even send them. Okay, so I added some liquid glue to this guy just to make sure that I could move him if I needed to. And I'm just going to take my white pen and I'm going to put a couple of little highlights in the eyes. Trick here with eyes is to do more than one, because light shines from, you know, multiple spots and the eye is rounded. And then we'll do a little around the nose and a little around the ears. I'll do a little around the bow, or on the holly berries, a little around the knot of the bow, and then a little bit around the heart. And that's all the highlight I'm going to do on this guy. Lastly, we just need to add the sentiment, so I'm going to grab some of my black and white twine, baker's twine, and this is a soft cotton. It's not a hard, scratchy one. I know there's different kinds. I'm just going to tie a little tiny bow in it, and I always make my strings extra long because I can't make a tiny bow to start with my hands, so I make a big one and then I size it down and then I just trim off the edges. I know it's kind of a waste, and I could save those pieces for collage work and stuff like that, but listen, friends, if I saved everything, I wouldn't be able to work in my craft room. So I'm going to pop up the Merry Christmas on that same foam tape, because you notice I had a little leftover piece. So I'm going to grab that leftover piece and trim it down because it's a little bit too wide. It's probably the perfect width, but knowing me and my aim, I won't get it straight. So I'll just cut a little piece off here. And we'll get that popped up on there. And I want to tuck it just barely under the heart. I'm trying to decide here, and I decide I do want it in the middle, and just the heart just tips over it just a teeny tiny bit. And then I can trim off these edges, and this card is done. You could add more embellishments if you wanted to, but I feel like I just don't want to take anything away from this adorable little panda. So I hope you liked the video, and you try different things with your dies. You know me. I like to stretch my stuff. Don't forget to leave us a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed to the Trinity Stamps channel, please consider subscribing and hit that notification bell each time so that you'll get notified each time we upload a new video. Everything you need to know is listed in the description box below. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.